I have so many thoughts about this year's State Garden show.
You just have to say that you're fine, but you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Plantivalo. Today I brought you a video about my experience at the Landesgartenschau in Bad Nenndorf, short Lager. This is basically a state garden show and a display of new ideas, and it should be inspirational. You should see or expect some new flowers, some new varieties, some new gardening ideas, stuff like that. I have so many thoughts about this year's State Garden show that I had to divide the video into two parts. The first part, which is this one, will be only about the Flowerhall, and the second video will be about the rest of the Lager, which is outside. The State Garden show writes about itself. Discover the blooming diversity of the 2026 State Garden Show in Bad Nenndorf. From April 29th to October 18th, the spa gardens of Bad Nenndorf will transform into a vibrant world of garden art, nature, culture, and inspiration. Stroll through lovingly designed theme gardens, discover new favorite spots, and let yourself be inspired by blossoms, fragrances, and creative ideas. Whether with family, friends, or simply enjoying some peaceful time on your own, there is something new to discover every day. Which flower will be your highlight? In this video, part 1, I want to talk about the Flowerhall by Millefleur. I guess that is some kind of flower shop or some kind of designer. I don't know, and honestly, I don't care. Maybe I should have looked it up, but maybe you will understand why I did not at the end of the video. Millefleur was definitely not the theme of this Flowerhall.
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn.
It was giving more like microplastic, but yeah, you will see in a second. In front of this building, which was an ugly looking shoebox standing on teeny tiny little wooden lady planks, yeah, was this information board. Let me read to you out loud what it says. Thriving art. In the Flowerhall, floristry is presented as a vibrant art form. Here, compositions of blossoms, textures and colors come together to tell stories and open up new perspectives. Each exhibition creates its own unique atmosphere and demonstrates how diverse and expressive the language of floral design can be. So we're telling stories now. I was there, and all I can say to this information board is lies, 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 and more lies.
Lies, lies, and more lies, and lies on top of lies.
Let me lead you through it. When you enter this Flowerhall, the first thing that you see is some kind of gray box where they put tons and tons of Phalaenopsis orchids in not suitable soil. It was just, decomposed peat moss, some organic soil, I don't know. And they were just crammed together. The leaves were already yellowing. Mind you, the State Garden Show just started at the end of April, so these plants are maybe a month in their place, so they are already yellowing, and they were not all leveled, which bothered me extremely. You could see the yellow leaves looking at the front. From the top it looked okay, but when you enter this Flowerhall, you don't look at the top of this planter. The color scheme was questionable. It was just all pinks and some random yellows thrown in there. It was just giving, where's the love, where is the invention, where is the creativity? It was just, here are a bunch of orchids, here are a bunch of Phalaenopsis, there you go. Yeah, the front is where you can see it the best, so it should look nice from the front. Was there no budget for border plants? You could have planted some small oxalis or something like that in the front, just to cover up the ugly ass leaves of these Phalaenopsis. And this is the first thing you see when you enter this Flowerhall, and then you see this mess of crammed in flowers, so it was very, very questionable. Anyways, Then when you entered the main, I would call it main area of this flower hall, there were some flower bouquets which I did not understand at all, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, everyone has a different taste, different preferences when it comes to color, textures, color combinations and form, but these flower bouquets, they were just simply wrong. They were just crammed together. They just took bunches of flowers and put them next to each other, or they put one bunch in the middle and then arranged some flowers on the outside. It looked like a display you see at the flower shop, where each flower type is divided into different buckets so you can easily see and combine yourself. It was giving that. It was not giving thought out bouquets. They didn't even care to mix the flowers properly. They were just bunches beside other bunches of flowers. Don't get me started on the color scheme. There was no color scheme. Some ideas were quite interesting. Yes, yellow and pink looks nice. Pink and red, okay, yes. Green and yellow, yeah, nothing new. Baby blue, pink and orange, question mark. I don't know, what is that?
What the fuck is going on in here on this day?
I mean, even with the things they have here, you could have just mixed the flowers up and it would have made such a nice display. Looking at it like this, I'm just speechless. I cannot find the words to describe this. It's just, it looked like they ran out of time and put all these flowers into very boring looking vases and called it a day and said, no one will notice. It's fresh flowers, look at them.
You think you're clever, don't you?
Then the moment arrived, my jaw dropped, and it didn't close until the end, until we left the State Garden Show. There were some, again, don't know how to explain it. There were some dry branches and there were kind of hanging things with plastic flowers, and I get the vision. This is impossible to do with fresh flowers. It was near the entrance, so the air is drier, there's constant air movement, so I just thought it's just for the entrance or near the entrance. It's just impossible to use fresh flowers. It's okay, it looks fine. It's giving a little bit cheap Asian restaurant. Don't get me wrong, it's a cute aesthetic, but not for a State Garden Show where they talk about invention and floristry and new ideas and atmosphere and demonstration of diverse expressive language of floral design. No, it was not giving that. Next came a wreath made out of 100% plastic flowers. The color scheme was cute. It was a little bit flat. I was missing a little bit, maybe more whites, maybe darker flowers, maybe leaning into a little bit more violet color. It was giving a little bit midsummer, and I get it. There was a sign above the wreath saying what is real, which is quite smart to me, because there was some flowers where you had to look twice or even 3 times and ask yourself, is this a real flower, is it plastic? So this is a smart concept, I get it, but I think they could have implemented this theme in a smarter way. Maybe combine fresh flowers with dried flowers and plastic flowers to really keep the visitors guessing, what are the fake flowers now, where are the dried ones, what are the fresh ones. This could have been really interesting, so you would have spent much more time at this wreath and really, could have made a guessing game out of it, and this way the visitor would have been much more engaged with the exhibition and the art. Yeah, but unfortunately it was just all fake flowers. I think there were some dried flowers in there, but other than that everything was plastics. Yeah, it was okay, I guess. Then there were some hanging arrangements which were also completely made out of plastic flowers. I quite liked them. I liked the texture. They were really fluffy. They were not overloaded with too many flowers. There were a lot of textural elements with these, fluffy, I don't know what they are, things. I think they are just sprayed asparagus leaves. I really like the combination of different textures and colors. They did a great job of mixing darker shades of violet and some lighter pinks with some pops of orange, which made it really interesting. And then they had these overhead lights which were shining through these hanging flower arrangements. It made it even more interesting because then the lighter parts of this arrangement were highlighted. It was really interesting, and you could really see that there was a lot of time and effort put into these hanging arrangements. They were really, really nice. Then there came this tree. I was a little bit shocked. It could have looked cute if some parts were a little bit denser, if you played a little bit with density, made some parts a little bit more sparse, added some greens maybe. There were these, I don't know what to call them. They look like feather dusters, and you could have used them in different colors to create some kind of interest. But yeah, that was not the most disturbing part about this tree. There were all these cable ties which they used to attach these feather dusters, but they didn't even care to cut the ends of these cable ties, which just takes you out of the whole fantasy. You can see how it is constructed, and that annoys me all the time, that there is no attention to detail. I will say it probably 100 times in this video. Maybe I have to include a detail meter, but there was no attention to detail. It was not that you need to get close to this tree. You saw these cable ties from a mile away. I don't know if it was intentional, but I simply cannot believe that it was intentional, because it doesn't look right. It just looks like a Timu tree. I'm so sorry.
Wait a damn minute.
That you have to assemble yourself, and you don't care about cutting the ends of the cable ties. They even could have sprayed or painted the cable ties in the same color as the bark of the tree, but no, I guess black is the color, which is nowhere else to be found in this tree. I'm sorry, I have to calm down. I'm fine.
Need to calm down. Everything's fine.
But this tree made me so mad. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it was...
Miss Jackson.
Moving on. Then there were these metal spring things hanging from the ceiling, and they used similarly colored flowers. They included some Louisiana moss, just threw it on top of the metal thing, included some reaction tubes with a little bit darker colored roses, everything matchy-matchy. Is it interesting? No. Is it inventive? No. Was I inspired? No. It was just giving like a messy playground where a bride came along and threw all of her leftover flowers on the playground and said, "Not my problem."
I know that's right. I know that's right, babe.
Oh my god. Then there were more orchids. They had these clear rectangular buckets hanging from the ceiling, and they put vendors in there. But the problem is, and when I look at these pictures I get a lump in my throat again, they put water into these buckets. At least they didn't fill them completely up, but yeah, you already could see the water getting murky. They just threw in some swimming water ferns on top of the water surface and called it a day. They obviously don't care that the water is murky, that the roots of the vandas are already decomposing. What can I say? Rotting roots. It's so inspiring. It was a disaster and basically an insult to people who care about orchids, who like orchids, who get physical pain seeing orchids treated like that, and I have no words. It could have been solved in a different way. You could have just placed some kind of mesh, metal mesh on top of the water surface, placed the vandas on top so that they don't sit on top of the water, and then just place these water evaporating thingies on top of the water surface. You can get them with a timer, so they go off maybe once every 15 minutes or something. You don't even need a timer. You can just place them in there so they create this water vapor. First, it looks nice. Second, the roots get lots of oxygen, which they need. Secondly, you can change the water from time to time. You just need a tube and maybe use a water pump. It's much easier that way. But displaying something like that and not caring about the quality and the attention to detail, it's just insulting, because you present something as art and then these wonders are just in murky water. Excuse me, why?
Why do you persist?
They are rotting. They are rotting away in front of our eyes. Are we supposed to feel inspired by that? I'm not. I'm sorry, but this is not acceptable in my eyes. Then they had other tanks, at least 2, with cut wonder flowers. They were partially submerged. The flowers themselves are partially submerged in, again, murky water. And the tanks themselves are completely dirty. They were used for something else beforehand, I guess. That's just my guess. They were not cleaned properly. They were not completely see-through because there were some calcium stains. I don't know. I mean, what is that? Detail. Where is the detail? Where is the attention to detail? Sad. This could have been easily solved by using some wet floral foam, which florists use. Put some moss on there so you don't see the foam. Make some kind of arrangement with the vandas. They don't have to be in this ugly ass plastic container. Why?
Why?
Obstruct the view to these beautiful flowers. Okay, but yeah, no, murky water is the game, I guess. Then there was a wreath laying on the floor and there was a mirror in the middle. I really liked the flower composition. There were some small roses, these multi-floral rose buds, which looked really nice because then you get different color variations in one stem. You have everything from white to darker pinks. Then they included even more colorful roses, which were a little bit darker pink. They included some nice greens, which loosened up the whole thing. Then combined it with yellow, leaning orangey alstroemerias, which was really nice, really cute color combo. Loved it. Then there was this mirror in the middle. I understand the vision and I really like the idea that you were supposed to look into this mirror and see flower arrangements hanging from the ceiling. But attention to detail, the mirror was dirty. It doesn't come off as dirty on the video as it was in real life, but trust me, it was dusty, there were fingerprints on it. It was really obstructive. Imagine this mirror being so clean that it is kind of a mind fuck, because you look into the mirror and you see these flower arrangements hanging from the ceiling and it's kind of a different dimension because it's a completely different color scheme. You have the black ceiling, which is a really nice backdrop to these flower arrangements hanging from the ceiling. But you cannot focus because the mirror is dirty. It's a no. Why? Was it so difficult to use some window cleaner and some paper towels to get this mirror as clean as possible? I mean, why? It is such a great wreath. They executed it so beautifully, and then this whole thing falls apart at the detail. Again. Yeah, sad, but inevitable. Random power cord running through the whole exhibition. I mean, why? Why? I get that they need to work on things constantly, but when I'm at some kind of art exhibition, flower exhibition, I want to be submerged into the art. I don't want to see any power cables. I don't want to see any cable ties. I don't want to see any dirty mirrors. I don't want to see behind the scenes. I don't want to see people running around, which they were constantly. They were constantly changing out flowers. Why not do that at the beginning of the day? If you use some preservative, which florists do use, you don't need to change and rearrange the flower bouquets during the day. You can do it before the opening or even afterwards in the afternoon. I don't know. It was just taking away from the experience and it was not giving art. It was giving work in progress. Look what we are doing. We are working here, but we are not finished is what it was giving. Yeah, it was very messy in there. Then towards the end, there were again some fresh flower bouquets, which I again did not understand. There were some red roses roses with some kind of apiaceae, which is interesting, and some asparagus on the side. It was literally on the side. It looks like a plate with some roses and some asparagus on the side. Again, it was not mixed. It's not inspiring. It's green and red. It's like basically what you get when you buy roses at a cheap flower shop at Mother's Day. So I don't know. Then there was this revolving flower bouquet, which I really liked because there was again this apiaceae. I don't know what kind of flower this is, but it was really interesting. And then you had these blue hydrangeas. And when hydrangeas are done blooming, they get these green flowers here and there, and they get greenish from the edge on. And they did a really, really great job combining this green apiaceae with these little green dots in the hydrangea flowers. They matched perfectly, and it was a really, really nice composition. I really loved that this whole bouquet was revolving, so you could really see it from all different sides and angles. My complaint is that all these fresh flower bouquets at the end were cramped together in a very, very narrow hall, and you didn't really have time to submerge yourself in the art and look at it from a different angle, give it a second take, and take your time exploring what is in there, because this hall was so narrow that if you stood there for even 2 seconds, there was already a line forming behind you, and yeah, people were waiting until you are done looking at the art. You didn't want to take your time because you didn't want to hold up the whole line, because people wanted to just leave this flower hall. These flower arrangements were also arranged very close to each other, and they were divided by these plastic curtains, I don't know, and they again took away from this whole experience, because you have this beautiful flower bouquet and then you have these different curtains. They didn't even use the same fabric for all the curtains, which is really annoying because it's not symmetrical. Why would you do that? It's weird. It's even in the video, it doesn't look right. With this video, I tried to make it as aesthetic as possible, but I couldn't because the curtains are not matching. But yeah, what am I supposed to do? All in all, I would have cut what was in the flower hall by probably a third, maybe even more. And I would have given every single exhibition, first of all, I would have cut the ugly parts. Why choose quantity over quality? Why? Because there were some beautiful parts in there. Why not focus on the beautiful parts? So I would have cut a third, maybe even more, and give the beautiful parts more room to breathe, more room to express themselves, more room for the people to engage themselves with the flower bouquets, with the flower arrangements, with the art. Just give the people more space. They can take more time to look at this stuff. They clearly put a lot of time and effort into these flower arrangements. I don't know why it had to be this full. They put their emphasis on quantity, which I did not like, because there were some parts that had a really high quality and looked really nice, and I would have just focused on them. When I came to the State Flower Show, I didn't have any expectations. I didn't read any text beforehand. I didn't read any reviews. I didn't look at any pictures. I did not know what was coming my way. I like to go to these things just like I go to the movies. I don't watch any trailers, just open-minded, without any expectations, without anything. And we were just standing in front of this ugly ass building, and I thought, okay, yeah, cute, a flower show, a flower hall dedicated to cut flowers, really nice. I was expecting, especially after this information board, art and inspiration and new things, new flowers I have never seen before, new combinations. And I have to say, there was maybe like 20% art, and the rest was like, oh shit, we have to open up tomorrow, but we're not done yet. Let's cram these flowers together because we don't have time to mix them up and make some kind of beautiful inspirational arrangements. Why?
Why? Why? Why? Why? Why?
They could have played with more beautiful vases. For example, they were either blending into the wall, into the flower pedestal, into the floor, into the flower arrangement itself. Why not use something that looks like art, that creates some kind of visual barrier to the flower bouquet, or is somehow part of the flower bouquet without blending into it? It was just giving millennial flower shop selling us the same concrete looking vases that nobody wants to use. Sorry, it was not giving inspiration, it was not giving art, it was not giving beauty. I'm sorry. I have to say that it almost felt a little bit insulting to imagine that the creators and caretakers of this place assumed that visitors wouldn't notice all of the details I mentioned, like the murky water, the plastic flowers everywhere, the visible power cords, the cable ties, the dirty mirrors, the overall lack of creativity and invention, the boring vases. It was giving that's enough for the overall people that will go to these things. It will probably be okay, but is it that wrong to demand more of those things and to evoke some kind of emotion? Let it be good or bad. Yeah, well, they evoked some bad emotions in me, but especially nowadays where you have this huge debate going on about plastics. Should we use that much plastics? I mean, we have the ban on plastic straws in the EU, ban on single-use cutlery, plastic cutlery in the EU, and then you have a state garden show displaying a flower hall which is made up of, let's say, 70 to 80% plastic flowers. I mean, the amount of microplastics we probably breathe in during this visit, I get this theme they had going on with what is real, but maybe display some new methods of creating fake flowers. You could use paper flowers. Of course, they do not look as realistic, but you can make them as realistic as possible. Paper is much more biodegradable than plastic. Plastic is not. Of course, you have also biodegradable plastic. Yes, I get that. But you can also use wax flowers. You can coat paper, very thin paper with wax to make these flowers look more realistic. Why not use new techniques? Where is the invention? Where are the new things? We had plastic flowers probably in the 60s and 70s. We have 2026 and they're displaying plastic flower arrangements at a state garden show. Why? To give you an idea and an example of what I find really interesting and inspiring and jaw-dropping for all the right reasons, I will put some pictures of Hamish Powell on Instagram. I really love what he's doing with flowers. Every single picture he puts up is like pure creativity. Every time he gets you with something new. Flower arrangements you never thought of. He's including fruits and vegetables you never thought you could use in a flower arrangement. Every time you see stuff he does, you go like, oh, I could do that? And for me, that is pure creativity. It is so inspiring. I would like to be him. I won't ever be him because he's so great. He does such great flower arrangements. I really love that. And every time I'm taking notes and thinking, oh, I can use that for my own stuff. It's just really amazing. Go check him out. He really bends the borders of what you think is possible. And it's just so amazing, so inspiring. Please go check him out. It's basically what I was expecting in this flower hall, and I just got plastic flowers. To give this flower hall some kind of rating, I think I'm giving it 2 out of 5 stars. I see that there went a lot of effort into this flower hall, and I don't believe that it is necessarily completely the fault of the creators of these hall. I think there were some budget issues and maybe some timing issues were probably involved, but even with what you had at this flower hall, you could have just cut 1/3 of the plastic flowers, focus on the fresh flower arrangements, arrange them in a nicer way, put much more emphasis onto details and make it a more immersive experience and make it maybe more inspiring. So yeah, unfortunately just 2 out of 5 stars. I am going to explain to you why I was this harsh, because for the whole state flower show you have to pay an entrance fee of 25 euros. And let me tell you how many plants I can buy for 25 euros. It's a lot. And if I pay that much for a state garden show, I'm expecting something in return. To give you some kind of perspective, the entrance fee for the Berg Garden in Hanover is 5 euros. And I will put some pictures on the screen what you can expect in the greenhouses, for example. In the greenhouses alone at the Berg Garden in Hanover, 25 euros are not worth it. This is just part 1, just the flower hall, and I will go on telling my experience in part 2 about the state garden show at Bad Nenndorf. I hope you liked this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to this channel. And I hope I will see you in part 2. See you. Bye.